सो गाइस आज हम बात करेंगे क्रेडिट कार्ड के बारे में और क्रेडिट कार्ड से अब रेंट कैसे पे कर सकते हैं उसके बारे में। और क्या वाकई में आपको क्रेडिट कार्ड से रेंट पे करना चाहिए? सो शुड यू एक्चुअली पे अ रेंट वाया क्रेडिट कार्ड? सो लेट्स टॉक अबाउट द टॉपिक, द मोस्ट हैपनिंग टॉपिc. I think many people come and ask this question to credit card experts. So today I thought of making such video because this channel is intended for that purpose only, to answer all your questions related to finance. So this is the first topic of the credit card, where we're trying to get into the whether you should pay your rent via credit card. So let's get into it. So in this video, I'll cover four main topics related to this section, this topic. How you can pay, आप कैसे पे कर सकते हो? What are the cons and pros of paying via credit card? When you should actually pay via your rent via credit card, and should you actually pay rent? So on these four broad topics, we'll try to cover up today. Okay. So first one, let's get into it. How you can pay? So simple है. There are two basic apps. बहुत सारी apps हैं, but these are two main primary apps, most popular apps. No Broker and Cred. So you can use these two apps to pay your rent via credit card. Okay. And कैसे करना है? Simply आपको अपना PAN number डालना है. You have to enter the your PAN number, your details, add your bank also. Then you have to credit card, and then you have to add the owner bank card details and उसका PAN details. So you have to enter these details basic, then you have simply have to enter the amount you have to pay, except the terms and conditions and service charges. Like there are some service charges. Earlier it used to be nominal. Like I remember I paid at times rent via credit card some year, 2 year back, and that time I used to pay only around like 200 rupees on 20 30,000 rupees of rent. Now it has increased. So that we'll discuss in detail how much it has increased, whether it makes sense or not for you to pay by credit card. So for now, I think it's 3.30 is the service charges. So बहुत simple है. Just download these two apps or any other app if you know. Comment, put it on the comment box if you have any other apps you use it to pay your rent. But that's what the basic process is. And as soon as you hit the button, you enter your OTP details, the rent will immediately get credited to your owner account. So there is no hassle as such. Okay. The next question, what are the cons and pros? So I'll straight away get into the cons first. I'll tell you the pros also, because that's what the more interesting part of it. So the cons now, with the popularity of paying a rent via credit card is coming up. I think the banks have also tightened up the rules. Even the government had did that same thing. So now, if you try to pay a rent, at least I have tried paying rent today only while making this video through credit, and on a simple rent of rupees 30,000 is charging me some 990 rupees extra. Okay, so that's 3.3% of the rental amount. If you increase the rent amount, the charges will also increase. They call it as a service charge. Okay, but this 3.3% is a huge. Second, there are many popular cards who doesn't, if you pay the rent via using those cards, they will not consider that amount for a milestone benefit or for to give you the points, like MXK cards mostly, insurance, utilities, all those exclusions. So वो आपको, even if you pay the rent, you will end up spending like extra service charges. Plus, you will not get any credit point benefit, like any points from those cards. Second, you get into a credit loop. Like अगर आपने एक महीने क्रेडिट पे कार्ड से पे रेंट कर दिया, next month again you have to pay. Now, if you next month, if you wish to pay through your cash to your account, then you have to pay two rents indirectly. Like one is your credit card bill and one is your actual rent. So that's a loop. If you have to come out of this loop, it's a bit costly, a bit stressing on the finance for that particular month, obviously. So that's a loop to mostly get into it. Like when I tried to pay a rent by credit card, at least for 2 3 months I had a struggle because I was not able to come out of it. The rent was huge, around 35,000. I stay in Mumbai. And then once I paid, it's okay. There was an offer in credit. I paid it by that. Next month, when I have to pay like 70,000, I didn't pay it because I have to continue paying that rent by credit card for next 2 months. And it literally costed me some 2,000 bucks extra because the offer was only for the first month, not for the second month and the third month. So that's the third disadvantage of paying rent by credit card. Now we'll get into the pros. So this is not like pro. This is show you the slide is show you the whatever I mentioned before. It's there actually. So the first screenshot, if you see this one, You can see that the house rent payment are just 30,000 rupees. I've been charged some 941 plus 49. So if you sum up, it's 990. So which is like 3.3%. So if you, this is the amount of money you have to spend extra. Also, if I have to tell you about the other charges, so this is the other charges which you have to bear. This is plus 3.3. So not only you have to pay the 3.3%, but now as per the government of India regulations, even the banks will charge you 1% extra. So यहाँ पे आप दे रहे हो 3.5%, plus आपके क्रेडिट कार्ड स्टेटमेंट जब आएगा, there you will also see 1% extra. So which is the screenshot is here, like the credit Kotak का मैंने example लिया. So Kotak Pay, these are rental payment charges, 1% of transaction amount levied for all transaction done. And this is what the Government of India notification says. For each rent payment identified through MCC 3513, so that's a rental code, a rent surcharge fee of 1% capped at INR 1500 per transaction will be levied on the transaction amount. So अगर आपका 1500 maximum capping है, that's one positive side of it, but 1500 rupees is still huge. And one person 1500 means someone have to actually pay a rent like 1.5 lakh. And obviously, I'm sure 99% of people won't pay that much of rent to reach that upper ceiling of 1.5 or of that 1500 rupees. So that's expense. That's like if you plus up 3.3 plus 1, that's 4.5%. Plus this 1% comes with one some GST as well. So that also comes in. So almost like nutshell 4 to 5% of extra you have to pay when you have to pay your rent via credit card. Okay. Now, let's into the pros. So pros are like the basic ones. If you have a very high liquidity crunch, if you don't have, let's say some at times we come across situation जहाँ पैसा नहीं होता है, सैलरी कम आती है या मे बी लॉस ऑफ पे होता है, कुछ भी होता है, रीजन है, कोई अदर एक्सपेंसेस आ गया, लिक्विडिटी क्रंच है, उस टाइम पे आप यूज करो, बिकॉज और कोई ऑप्शन है नहीं. इट्स बेटर फ्रॉम टेकिंग अ पर्सनल लोन एटलीस्ट. Personal loan will come in like 11-12%, and it comes with a commitment of 6 months, 12 months, and more than that. So instead of getting into a personal loan loop, it's better you pay by credit card. But again, keep in mind about the credit loop which you get into it. But if it is a temporary liquidity crunch, then I'm sure you will be able to fix it next month. So then you can use it. You can also use it in certain cases where you come across in some unknown expenses like medical, like anything else could be unknown, could be anything, right? Which you didn't foresee it coming, but all of a sudden it comes to you, and now you have to pay that money. Listen, paying that money is more important for you, and you cannot delay on paying a rent. Okay. So in that case, and if you can bear that additional 4-5%, then also you can use the your credit card to pay the rent. Okay. Now, the time comes when you should pay your rent. So, while we discuss about the cons and pros, the cons are more toward more having a more weightage than the pros. But when you should actually pay your rent by credit card? See, if you have a credit card which comes with a annual fee of let's say 10,000 rupees, okay. Now, all these such credit cards have some annual fee waiver scheme also. Like you can spend like 5 lakh rupees to get your annual fee waived, 10 lakh rupees to get your annual fee waived. So in such a scenario, and if you have almost achieved that milestone of getting the annual fee waiver, and if you're just short of let's say 50 lakh, 50,000, 1 lakh rupees, at that time you can try and pay your rent via credit card because that will be able to bring up your value you spend on rent on credit card within small amount of like 1,200, 2,000 rupees you can pay additional, but that much expense will save you like 10,000 rupees on annual fee. Only if that annual fee is greater than the amount you are extra spending on paying your rent. That money is same, there is no use of it. So use you can do some calculation, see how much of the annual fee you have to pay to renew your credit card, and if it is at least 3x of what you end up paying in a credit card through rent, then it makes sense. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. By the way, most of the bankers, at least MX, I know for sure, if you have achieved almost 80% of your waiver limit, if you go and talk to them, they'll probably waive off the rest of the annual fee also. So they are a little generous in such cases. So please, you can talk to them. Other banks I have not spoke too much, at least in this regards of waiving of annual fee. So I don't know, but MX generally does that if it is a small difference. Okay. Now, when you should you actually, so now understood the pros, cons, I've told you when to use it. Now, should you actually pay your rent by a credit card? So my experience says you should not. Okay, very cleanly, I'm talking about directly saying you should not pay your rent by credit card. First, it's very expensive, 3.3 plus 1%, so like 5% of money going in extra, and that's like paying your annual increment of rent in advance. So usually it's 5% hike comes in every year, so you pay that much of amount every year in advance. So that's one way to look at. Second way, it's like 5% is a hard cash, right? It's not like key 5% of points you will lose out, which will have some conversion value. It's like 5% of extra money you're paying if you're paying. 30,990 rupees, I'm paying the 990 rupees. I have to next month when it comes to a credit card statement, I have to give that 990 rupees extra, right? So that's a hard cash. Now that's a different story. Nowadays, people don't have too much of connect with their money to their savings because it's there in the bank. They have a software to pay out. Earlier, when people used to pay via cash, cash gives you some sort of a affection. Like the people don't want to lose out the cash so quickly. So bank to bank transfer doesn't impact you much. So you have that feeling, right? So you can pay like 1,000 rupees for certain things, spend like 1,000 rupees in movie, coffee. It doesn't make impact you, doesn't create any sort of a concern for you. But when you have to actually pay a cash, that makes you feel like, oh, that much of money is going out. So that way, if you have that 5% extra, uh, very dire need of paying, don't have liquidity, then you can pay it. Otherwise, don't do it. Second, as I said earlier, it's bring you in a loop which is never ending and it's very costly. So that's the most critical part of it. If you end up paying rent next month, you have to pay it twice. You first credit card, then you rent actual. Third month, if someone telling you this is the offer, don't get into it because that offer will be only for first time, not for the second, third, and fourth time, right? So these are two important inputs from my end. Okay. So this is what the nutshell of credit card say rent pay karne ka. Okay. You understood it. If you have any questions, please do comment in the comment box. I'll be happy answering you. And if you feel that at least you had that special benefit of paying rent by credit card and you get a benefit out of it, please do comment in the comment box so that others also can take benefit of it, right? So thank you so much for your time. Please subscribe to my channel. I create contents on finance. There are some contents already available, but it's a new start. If you subscribe to it, it will be really helpful to me. Thank you so much.